our way from Houston to Marfa, Texas, West Texas. Can't wait to get there, by the way. We're here with our great friend, stellar leader, and leader of and president of ViewSonic, a global technology company out west. Love Jeff. Jeff is on the ball, and he can't wait to jump into some questions. And our great friend, my great friend, Jim Trotter. Jim Trotter, we've known each other forever. He is one of the most reputable writers and TV personalities right now, Jim, correct? I mean, what you've done in this league and what you do as far as talking about really hot topics and you're not afraid to go to the tough spots. I've always admired beyond, Jim. So thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. Um, I was going to jump in here on my first question with you, Jim, and it has to do with, we're on the way to the Super Bowl. This is, our drive to Super Bowl Sunday, so to speak, and we're talking about all things Super Bowl. But today's world, the topic right now, it's hot. We have had some really good hires of underrepresented men on the GM side of the NFL. Let's just head right to it. There is something that is not happening on the head coach side that has caused a lot of contentious discussion. Can you speak to that from your perspective? Does it overshadow the hiring of the underrepresented general managers because there are no hires on the head coaching side?
Yes, it absolutely overshadows it from the standpoint the head coach typically is the face of your franchise with the public. So he's that person on the sideline. He's the person addressing the media every day. General managers, depending on who they are, some don't like to deal with the media. And so they limit, the number of opportunities that the media have to interview them. So yes, I think this head coaching issue is being overshadowed in some ways if you choose to focus on the GMs. It's look, Thomas, you know this. It's really and these are my words, not anyone else. It's really shameful where the NFL is at this point. It continues to say that it is about diversity and inclusion and these things, but prior to this year, in the four hiring cycles prior to this year, there were 27 openings total. There were only four black men hired in any of those 27 jobs. Here we have nine openings this year, and thus far there is yet to be one black person hired. And we are down to one single black head coach in the NFL at this point. It is shameful. And I want to make the distinction here that when I talk about this, I'm not talking about the league, I'm talking about the league owners, because the league office does not do the hiring or the firing. It cannot tell an owner who to hire. The owners choose who they hire. So I'm specifically speaking to those 31 families that own franchises, as well as the Green Bay Packers, who we know are not owned by a family but are a public entity.
A great point. So to follow off of that and to piggyback off of that, Jim, okay, you have always been known, again, to stand tall and to express your opinion, and whether they're, a popular opinion or not. Your ability to lead that way. So you're leading, of course, as a media person that has far-reaching coverage and interest. How do you maintain that relationship with a really important entity in your world, i.e., the league? And you've also been outspoken about the commissioner before. As a general manager in this league, that's not easy to do on my part. I've always, we have to walk the right line. It's beyond admirable. Tell us a little bit about how you do that and principles as a leader, as a person of great intelligence and presence.
Yeah, Thomas, I think it's just part of our job as journalists. We're supposed to ask tough questions. And as journalists, you're supposed to be skeptical of what you're told. So I'm not doing anything that, in my opinion, is out of line with what my job is supposed to be. My job is supposed to be to ask questions and, in essence, to be the eyes and ears for the public and to provide information that helps them understand what it is that they are viewing or reading or whatever. So I think part of the reason that I can ask these questions of the commissioner or anyone else is that I am asking them out of a foundation that's based in fact, and not just I'm throwing out a hot take or an opinion. When I give you the numbers about the hirings in the NFL, that is a fact. It is not an opinion on my part. So when I ask these questions about hiring practices, it is not me, I have my own feelings about it, But what I'm asking you about is you're telling me one thing and the numbers are reflecting something different. So how do I balance those two? And that, to me, that's the role of a journalist, is to ask those questions. So do people like them? Sometimes no, they make us uncomfortable, but hopefully by dealing with the uncomfortable, we make positive change.
Awesome. Hey, Jim, I got to tell you, I applaud your willingness to get out there and challenge people to, respond to diversity and respond to, positive change. I love that phrase so much. And as a leader, diversity and positive change and inclusion is always been part of what I believe is a great organizational foundation. Um, my question moves us from that challenge that you try to do the right thing for society, for the league's long-term benefit, is to ask you, of all the wonderful people that you want to influence them to do the right thing, what leaders in that myriad of interviews and tough questions you've asked have you found have qualities that um, you really respect, and that could be many different reasons, open-mindedness, et cetera, et cetera. I'm really curious because you talk to so many great people of influence, and maybe great has some kinks in that armor, but what leadership qualities and what people have sort of aligned with you in attempting to make positive change within their organizations to do the right thing for today and long term?
Jeff, is a great question. The only problem is I could sit here and give you so many names that we would be here all day, you know. Um, for me personally, it's the people who are willing to have the discussion and the people who are willing to at least entertain that maybe there is a different viewpoint from theirs that has validity or credibility, that gives them a reason to pause and think that maybe what they are thinking is not right, or that it can be improved, or whatever. So when you talk to men, whether it's a Tony Dungy, whether it's a Jim Caldwell, or even, I say this, it is not just about black men, it is also about white men, it's about all of us. So when you talk to coaches like Kevin Stefanski, or you talk to a Kyle Shanahan or others who have strong opinions on the importance and the benefits of diversity, it's all of us. So when you ask me to identify some, I'm being honest here, there are just so many who are willing to fight this fight. And I applaud all of them because it's not easy. And it was funny, a local TV reporter interviewed me about this recently, and all of a sudden her timeline was flooded with all of these people who were just attacking her and attacking me. And I reached out to her and I said, I apologize. I didn't warn you ahead of time what was coming if you went down this road, because it's not a road for the faint of heart. And you're going to have people who come after you, but as long as in your heart you know you're doing the right thing and you're doing your job, that's all you can do. I can sleep well.
Doing the right thing is hard, and it's never easy. Doing the easy thing may feel good short term, but long term, you're just another stick in the mud, right? So I applaud you for trying to get people to learn the value of doing the right thing, not just change for the sake of change, but improving our long term, future for inclusion and diversity, and getting the right people in the place they need to be to represent. It's something I try to do, and I really appreciate you and your words.
No, and I appreciate that. It means a lot to me. I want to say part of what I do and the reason I do it is because for these minority coaches, they can't speak on it publicly because they fear retribution, or they feel that their opportunity to climb the professional ladder won't be there. And so I feel it is incumbent on me, with the platform that I have, to give these men a voice. Because to me, there is nothing worse. And I wish people could be in my shoes and talk to these men at sometimes, when you hear that sense of hopelessness in their voice, that no matter what they do, it's never going to be good enough for them to reach the highest levels of their profession. And I remember having this conversation, I believe it was 2 years ago. No, it was last year before the Super Bowl, with Jimmy Ray, who you all know, longtime scout in the NFL, or not scout, I'm sorry, coach in the NFL. He's now, I believe, in his mid 70s. And he was one of those guys that back in the day should have had an opportunity to be a head coach. He had been a coordinator, I think, at 7 or 8 different places, an offensive coordinator, and yet he never got the opportunity. And why was that? It wasn't because he wasn't qualified, it wasn't because he wasn't capable. The only reason was the color of his skin. And so to hear him say to me when I ask him, how hopeful are you that this is going to change at some point going forward? And when he says to me, I don't see it changing in my lifetime, and that systemic racism is too embedded in our society and in our league, man, that's painful. That's painful to hear, knowing these people who are coming behind him aspiring to have an opportunity.
Jim, look, man, like I said earlier, educating the masses with heart and soul, which is awesome. You're always educating and insightful. Let's talk about your insight now. Let's switch this to a little lighter topic. Who are prognosticator hat on? Who are and why are you taking that team in the Super Bowl?
Man, Thomas, that is so hard. It is. I tell people, man, even if we were allowed to bet on football games, I would never do it because it's just an insane game to try and figure this stuff out. The first week of the playoffs, the wild card round, I was 6-0 in my predictions. The second week of the playoffs in the divisional round, I was 0 for 4. So, who's going to win this game? I don't know. I can tell you this. If I'm put on the spot, I would say I think the Rams should win. But I will say that I have seen the Cincinnati Bengals in person twice. I saw them lose to Green Bay, and I saw them beat Kansas City the first time. And if you sleep on that team, if you sleep on Joey Burrow, if you sleep on that defense, which doesn't get talked about a lot, but held Kansas City in 2 meetings to a total of 6 points in the second half, you're going to wake up Monday morning wondering what happened. So who would I pick? I would pick the Rams, but I would not be shocked in the least if the Bengals won this game.
Got nothing but love for you, brother. And thank you so much for joining us.